All right, we're live. I'm Joshua Kemble. This is my live stream. I've been a graphic designer and illustrator for about 20 years, and I've been an art director for about 7 of those years. When I'm not art directing or working on graphic design and illustration, excuse me, I am working on graphic novels and comic books like Two Stories in Jacob's Apartment, which I'm sure I'll play trailers for during this stream. So I'm also busy at work on a graphic novel called Not Death But Love, the Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. That is a historical fiction graphic novel written by Lavender Vroman and illustrated by me. And I'm knee deep in that, working on page 69 of that. I am working on the shading for it. I'll show you the progress so far. That's kind of where we're at on it. Yeah, so I'll be getting into working on that in a little bit. I probably am gonna just do a quick game of Risk to start my day off. For those of you who enjoy my comics content and hate the Risk stuff, sorry. I'm on a quest to also become a grandmaster at Risk. And I try to play at least one daily game of Risk just because it's something I really enjoy. And hopefully this will loosen me up because I have a long day of comicking ahead of me. My goal today, on and off stream, I'm going to be trying to finish page 69 of this comic. So what I'll do is a quick game of Risk. We'll see how it goes. The last few games I've played haven't been all that great. I might have to kind of break for lunch after that. And then after that, we might do something else. It's a Sunday, so my son Ben is kind of hanging out. He's playing games too.
Please subscribe to Joshua Kemble, and also please like this video.
He got that number 1 hand yesterday as a reward for doing a lot of homework because Benji's had a cold, and so he just had to do everything.
But anyways, subscribe to Joshua Kemble.
Nice.
And please be sure to like this video.
And Frank said, hello, Ben. How's it going? Frank also saying, I would do anything for Josh. Yes, I would do anything for Josh. And then it's like me saying, do you want to see me play Risk? And you're like, but I won't do that. Nice, Frank. Nice. Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good Sunday. I hope you listen to Ben's advice and subscribe and like and comment and share. And
yes, be sure to share this video with your family and friends.
I love it. Thank you, Ben. That's awesome.
Please make sure they're adults first.
That's true.
These videos aren't for kids.
That's true. These videos are not for kids.
Oh, and don't forget to like the video.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I already said that.
I love it. He's my hype man. It's kind of like back in the day when you'd have, a hip hop group and you have the guy with the big clock who's just like, yeah. That's Ben. He's got a big clock bling, and he's telling you guys what's up. And then Dee Dee, thank you, Dee Dee. That's awesome. Dee Dee just dropped $10 or $9.99, I should say, and said an ice cream or treat for Ben. That's not a bad call, and that will probably go to an ice cream or treat for Ben. That's awesome. Thanks for the support. Thanks for supporting this channel, and we're gonna get right into it. Play a game of Risk, and then hopefully we can get to this page. I guess before we play the game, I'll just explain what I'm going to be working on with the page. So Robert has shown up in their building with in Casa Gaidi, which is like their kind of chateau in Italy. He's brought in a skeleton into their kind of living room, and a full-size skeleton. And Elizabeth is like, what is this skeleton doing in our room? And Robert kind of explains, oh, I'm going to be doing a bunch of drawings of this skeleton. So they're kind of expecting some company to come over. So Elizabeth is pretty much like, take the skeleton out of here. The page prior to this, like, Robert kind of feigns like he's taking the skeleton out of the room and then ends up dancing around the room with the skeleton, cracking Elizabeth up. Their maid, Wilson, comes in and is like, what is going on with the skeleton? And at this point, the maid has like a kind of ridiculous bouquet full of flowers and stuff like that. And she also has a gift. So she's handing Elizabeth a gift. The gift, Elizabeth reads a letter that's attached to it, and then is basically going to start unwrapping the gift. And meanwhile, Robert is kind of snarkily commenting on the whole thing in the corner with his skeleton, who we find out is named Mr. Bones. So that's what we'll be working on, toning those last two. Jim Lujan said, hey, kids, how's it going, Jim? So we're going to play a quick game of Risk, and then we'll get into comicking. And potentially, I don't know, I was thinking about starting to do more comment streams, too, so we might catch up with some people in the community, just like what they've posted recently. I don't know. We'll see. It's an adventure. It's a Sunday stream, so who knows? But again, we'll see how much we can get done before lunchtime. So, nice. Jim said the black and white looks pretty dang cool. Dee Dee asked Jim how the fungi is going. And then Jim said fungi weekend was strong, Dee Dee. Awesome. Jim, did you do your stream already? If you have, I want to watch it. Maybe I can do a comment stream on it. I'll watch it and be like, see what Jim is doing here. And just pause every 5 seconds. But let me know if you've live streamed yet. If not, Jim, let us know when it is, so that we can all kind of. I can turn off my stream and kind of reroute people to your channel. All right. Stream tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific. You guys see that? So I will tell you, I'm not going to be streaming at 6 p.m. Pacific today. I'm going to be tuning in to Jim Lujan's live stream. And before I get into anything else, there's one other thing that I might do on a commentary stream while I work, which is look up why in the hell we still have daylight savings in California. Because we lost an hour, guys. I lost an hour of my life. I lost an hour of my sleep. I really hate daylight savings. And it'd be an interesting rabbit hole to kind of go into, like, why exactly. Like, I believe there was a time like last year where we actually California actually voted to get rid of daylight savings. And then if you looked at the fine print on it, it was like voting to approve a committee that can review whether we should get rid of daylight savings, which is really irritating because the way they verbalized it on the ballot was not very clear on that. It seemed like it was like, hey, do you want to keep or get rid of daylight savings? And everybody was like, get rid of it. And then it's like, oh, by the way, the fine print said that was just to like allocate a budget so we can get a committee to make a hearing about whether or not it might be worthwhile. Anyhow, okay. Lost an hour everywhere but Arizona, right? Yeah, why do we have it anywhere? Agreed, Dee Dee. Again, it kind of made sense in like an agrarian culture where you have like a bunch of farms and stuff like that, and like that's everybody's job is like working on farms. But we're kind of, don't get me wrong, like there's still farmers out there, but it's like, come on, guys, come on. I've heard an argument about keeping daylight during school for kids. I don't know. I've never heard a compelling one, but it might be a fun rabbit hole to go on and like look up some YouTube videos on. Yeah, my wife kind of pointed out it's great for autistic people too, when like autistic people are very routine based, and it's like just literally once a year we're gonna throw a wrench in your routine. Okay, let's rock and roll. Let's play a quick game of Risk. I might have to go after that to make some lunch and eat some lunch, but we're going to be streaming all day except for 6 p.m. Pacific, where you guys should all watch Jim Lujan's channel. Okay. because he's going to want to talk about the process of making the full fungi. Jim's names for these things. All right, let's see if we can find a game. I'll walk you guys through kind of the specifics of the game, and then we're going to work on comics after that. Maybe take a break for lunch. So I've given you the agenda. You know what to expect. And as Benji had told you, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Okay, let's get into this. We're going to try to find a fixed classic game, and we're going to hope that this is the one game in the last week where somebody doesn't just full out just send their stack into mine, ruining both of our games. All right. This looks interesting. Let's see if there's bots in this. There's no bots. Okay. Let's take this one on. Longer turns, which means probably less seasoned. But let's see. So I'm pink. Don't let me forget that, chat. I usually think because I usually default to black on these games, but I'm pink. Oh, here's Ben. I love that he got one of those floppy hand things for sports. Look at that.
Subscribe to Josh.
Dude, I have a fan. I love it. Okay. Let's see what's going on. So I'm in fifth position. How cool is that? I got a little, look at this. My boy. He's awesome. That's all I'm saying. Okay. What's up, dude?
This happened.
I know. Dee Dee gave $10. It was very nice of her.
Dee Dee Willingham has given $10 to Josh.
Yep.
And
said an ice cream treat.
An ice cream or treat for Ben.
Yeah. So we got to get you something that's $10, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dee Dee Willingham.
Boom. Can you guys hear Ben okay? I hope so. So we have red kind of making moves for what looks like they're going to go for North America. Interesting. We have green it looks like green might be aiming for Europe. And it looks like I don't know where I'm going to go. I think my best play, I am in position to take Australia again. I don't want to take Australia, but I think I kind of have to again. Darn it. You guys, this whole Australia thing, let's fortify my position a little bit in Australia. Okay. We'll see if white is an Australia or die guy who just takes out all my troops. I think I fairly solidly take Australia. Unless white is insane. But white, if they're a good player, they should take South America. Thank you, white. You're not a terrible player. That's good news. I really appreciate Frank Salazar's Meatloaf cover. Green is... Where are you going, Green? Okay, so Green's making a play for Africa. Not a bad move. Okay, so Green wants Africa. Orange, it seems, is kind of positioning themselves in Europe. Where's red going? What does red want? Red, North America. Okay, red's chilling in North America. Pretty good board so far. Everybody's playing pretty well. Let's see what yellow does. Does yellow make a play for Australia? Or not yellow. I'm colorblind, guys. Orange. Or does orange wisely... Orange wisely kind of doesn't make that play.
Dad, correction, you're not colorblind.
That's true. Benji said I am not colorblind. I was joking, Ben.
Yeah.
Which is not meant to be offensive to anyone who is colorblind. Okay, we take Australia, guys. Australia is ours. Does Black intercede and say, no, Australia is mine? Black is in position to challenge that if they want. They'll suicide us both out of the game, but with the way the last few games have gone, guys, oh, they're going to do it. Why? What was the purpose of that? Now we both lose the game, you idiot. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm almost about to quit Risk just because of these idiots. That was the dumbest move. Oh, it makes me so mad. Like, this is literally like the 4th game I've played on stream where somebody just suicided me out of the game. What was the point of that? Oh, that makes me so mad. This is why I never, like, anybody who criticizes me not making Australia plays, that's why. That's why I avoid Australia like the plague. Because again, like, what did Black gain out of that? They're not going to win the game now. I mean, they're definitely going to take me out of the game, but after they've taken me out of the game, I think what happens is green just sweeps the floor with them. That's insanity. That's the dumbest move I've ever seen. Who is this player? Prez 3? Congratulations, you win the Darwin Award, buddy. Yes, now Orange gets in on the Australia or die action. Great job, Black. You just killed the game for both of us. Oh, I hate Australia. Oh, Ben, can you move that? Because I can't have the music. Sorry. Otherwise, I get demonetized. So I'm dead out of water in this game because of Black just being a complete moron.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay, Ben. I like the music. It was nice.
I just thought that if the people watching could listen to this, they would have some more fun watching the video.
That's awesome. I love that. It's a cool idea. I love ya. Ben wanted to play some music so we could have more fun. I just had to be like, oh, we can't play music here or we get demonetized. I'm totally dead to rights in this game because Black is an idiot. If I survive the next round, that I'd be shocked. I should be gone in 2 seconds. But hey, that's okay. I can work on my comic after this. That's why I never make a play for Australia. Just wanted to say. Because, like, what's weird is everyone literally suicided themselves for that. Like, even Orange is in a really weak position because now, like, White, if they want, can take Australia, or Green. It's just the idiocy of the Australia players. White's going to come for me, though. Maybe they want my cards. Can I even cash in? Okay, I can cash in. There is like the mildest possibility that I survive this game. It's very slim. Green right now should just take me out of the equation. Maybe Green wants to keep me around. What was with that play, dude? Like, again, what did you accomplish? If people thought more about what they actually want, this is just in general, I think in life. Like, what was the purpose? Like, again, what was Black thinking? Were they thinking that was going to accomplish something? Like, they literally cost the game for both of us. And it's like, okay, so here's the mentality that I think happens with Australia players, like, who do that move. By the way, I'm going to get taken out of the game at this point. That's okay. We'll play comics after this. I want to see Red just kind of sweep the floor. So I'm out of the game. That's so irritating. I can't get over how bad and crappy these suicidal players are. Yeah, okay. So not a big surprise. That was a beginner. That's one of the reasons it's really dangerous to play these games with beginners. I'm going to lose a lot of points for that. Thanks a lot. Do you guys want to see what happens to Black next? So Black has 15 troops because of that move. So they're going to get taken out next. Okay. I'll quit out of this game, but I just wanted you guys to know, like, that's such a dead to rights, just dumb move. Okay. Regardless, it kind of screwed me over. So yeah. And then Didi was saying always Australia. Yeah. Okay. That's okay. We'll work on comics. So, okay, like, here's a thing that I wanted to kind of comment on while I work that actually relates to that, but I think would like apply to people in general in life, where it's like, think about what your objectives are before you make moves. You know, like if you don't know what your goal is, and this goes for artists or anything in life, and definitely with Risk, it's like you see these young players and they don't, like, that was clearly not an experienced player, because again, they're so micro targeted and focused on something they want that they aren't even thinking, if I do this, will it get me what I want? In that case, they were literally like, I want Australia, because again, they've read like 4 articles on Australia being easy to defend. It's a good starting point on Risk. And every new player thinks that's the only way to win the game. So when somebody takes Australia, people like that will just go, oh man, I can't let them have Australia. So the cost of game for every single player that takes Australia, and it in the long run, it puts them in a position where they can't win the game. So again, like, I always feel like, just in general in life, like before you make moves, ask, is this going to get me closer to my objective? Because why does he want Australia? Well, to win the game. Well, are you going to win the game if you just like suicide your whole stack into there and then you're both dead? Like, no, that just loses the game for both people. I see people doing that a lot with things, like with art, with everything in life, where they'll kind of make moves that they aren't thinking about their broader objectives. Does this bring you closer or further away from your goal? Dee said those skellies look awesome. Thanks. That was the most boring game of Risk ever. I'm all riled up now. That's supposed to be my clear my head game, but I swear, like the last few days, I think it's just been like flooded by beginners that just don't know how to play, get mad, suicide into my stacks. To be fair, it's a beginner, so they'll probably learn a little better at some point. But yeah, guys, be careful when you're playing Risk, like making any moves to Australia. I even was considering when I was playing that, I was like, somebody's going to be an idiot about Australia. I should move all my troops out. So we're working on shading this this thing, and maybe we'll do a deep dive in a little bit on daylight savings. I'm curious to hear your guys' opinions on daylight savings. What do you guys think about daylight savings? And also, what are you guys working on? That was the quickest, dumbest game of Risk I've ever played. It's like I can see the hamster wheels running through somebody's head making a move like that. It's like, that's a thing I want. I'm just going to do it. And they just murder themselves. It's very strange. Not thinking like 2 steps forward of like, can you hold the thing you want? But that's why usually like the play I do is just to give them Australia, because like it's just not worth it. So even in that case, even though I had Australia, I should have probably just gotten out of Australia, hung out in Asia, waited for everybody to like, even if I wanted Australia, the better play is to kind of do the vulture move where you just kind of, you hang out in Asia for a bit, grow your stack, and wait for 2 idiots to kill themselves over Australia, and then sweep in and take it. Let's see. Dee said, I am working on a painting, a portrait, and my idea collecting notebook. I love it. What is your idea collecting notebook? I'm guessing, this is a wild guess here, Dee. It's a hot take. I'm guessing that's a notebook where you collect ideas. So what we'll do, I think what I'll do for this stream is I'm going to finish toning this page and then break for lunch. So not the page, but the panel. So we're going to tone panel 5 on this page. Gary said, still chipping away on that third to last page and taking reference pics this afternoon. That's awesome. Gary's live stream yesterday was like a really interesting one where half of the stream was about art and half of it was about guns. Like if somebody who didn't know Gary like stumbled upon Gary's live stream yesterday, they might be like, is this like a like maybe they think Gary's stream is like a survivalist stream where Gary's like, hi, I work on comics about Martians that are very deep and amazing comics. And I also teach you how to survive in the wilderness with a gun and beef jerky. I feel like, Gary, we need to do a live stream where we both pretend to be survivalists. And we like, you know, break for ads for like beef jerky. What else? Not just beef jerky, like coffee, but it's like coffee, like America coffee. And then not just coffee, but, you know, survival kits. And then a lot of like nutraceuticals or whatever, like that, like, you know, we'd have to like make a lot of ads for like, and take this brain product. It makes your brain think better. Take 5 of these pills. Get your guns ready. Gary said, I'm terrified that video will blow up. Dee said, I have to gather my 3 books to post. What 3 books? You have to explain this. I want to know. Let's see. Oh, Gary said, of course, eagerly awaiting Jim Luhan's stream. Yes, Jim Luhan's stream at, what was it, 6:30 p.m.? Jim Luhan, 6 p.m. Pacific. Don't forget, 6 p.m. Pacific means yesterday that was a different time before we were robbed of it by the evil time change. I know this is weird, but like there's 2 things that have never made sense to me and I've never heard a completely compelling case for. And I know there were like reasons in the past that these things existed. One is the Electoral College, which still to me seems like a ripoff. Like the Electoral College doesn't make sense to me. I've heard a bunch of arguments like in favor of the Electoral College, but from everything I've read about it, maybe we can do a deep dive on that. Everything I've read about the Electoral College, it seems like it was established to like because of transit. That was like the main reason. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm not like a historian, but this is like stuff that I've read on it and seen on it, where I think initially it was set up because the cost to send each like representative from the state, like the cost to like count all the ballots and then get somebody to the Capitol in time. Like the time and the cost to do that was almost impossible. So they had to kind of set up electors. But it had more to do with like just not having a really solid mailing system and having really slow travel. So a day and age where we don't have a slow mailing system, we don't have a travel issue, you can be in a different state like within hours or days, you know, like it's not like it's this long like 10-month journey to kind of like get across the state or something. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why do we need an electoral college? Like, it's literally taking out the democracy from a democratic vote, which is insane to me. And I don't mind that we're in a democratic republic and all of that, but even in the democratic republic framework, the electoral college is just like weird. It's like, okay, so we're gonna have these things structured where the vote basically sets your people, and we don't vote for the electoral college. That's the other thing that's weird. Like, so at the end of the day, like it's weird because we have a vote that decides, but the vote can be overturned by somebody who's not voted. It's, I don't know. To me, that just seems, it seems like nonsense to me. We should get rid of the electoral college. And then the only other thing that doesn't make sense to me is like, so the electoral college has never made sense to me, no matter what argument I've heard for it, and daylight savings. Like those are both things where I'm like, I've heard arguments where people are like, oh, this antiquated thing that had a purpose at one point helps because no, let's get rid of both. That's my take on it. I don't know. If you guys have like a compelling reason, let me know. But Didi said I would rather talk guns than politics. That's a good point. Yeah, I tend to not get heavy into politics, but I feel like whatever side of the aisle you're on, like electoral college just does not make a lot of sense. That's all I'm saying. Just doesn't. Let's see here. I want to steel man it though. Like I do think like if I ever went on a deep dive kind of looking for it, I'd want to look for a really compelling argument for it just to see, am I crazy for like thinking that's just like a dumb system? Like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's like a really good reason I just haven't considered. Okay. You guys, look at this page. Isn't it neat? I'm curious to see Jim's stream. I have ideas about what the full fungi might be. Yeah, that's a good point. Gary said, I'd throw in what's our problem with the metric system. I will say this as somebody who works quite often for my day job, like with imports, like we get a lot of our stuff manufactured overseas. And it's like, it is such a nightmare when you're an artist making things for manufacturing in countries that have adopted the metric system with a more accurate measurement. And we're having to convert for American clients to like inches. It just doesn't, again, I'm kind of with you on that, Gary. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like the fact that I can't just put a decimal point and like for some reason we just cannot understand that, like, oh, it's point whatever size. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling, and it's a headache, and honestly it costs a lot of productivity. Good point, Gary. Let's vent about all the things that are wrong. All the things, you guys. All the things. I'm enraged about all the things. Oh, I need to take off that scrolling banner. I'm not that full of myself that I need a scrolling banner on top of my giant ridiculous banner. It was just there. That was leftovers. Yeah, Gary was saying, right, base 10 couldn't be easier. Come on, let's switch it. It'll be fine. And do you remember there was a song, you know, from like Schoolhouse Rock that was like, the metric system is coming. And yeah, that song didn't end up being right. think Schoolhouse Rock, like they lost their like if they were making a claim that they were prophets, they just lost all credibility. I don't think they were making the claim of prophecy, but if they were, that would have been the point where that show would be like, yeah, you guys don't know the future. You think Americans are going to change that? However, there's some stubborn American stuff that I really like. Like, I get a kick out of the fact, you guys can tell me in chat, I get a kick out of the fact that we insist on calling football soccer. And I don't even like sports, but I have to admit, like, I really at some point want us to win the World Cup just because we call it soccer and it's funny. And the fact that we insist on it and then we made our own football that doesn't even use feet very often. Like, there's maybe a kick at the point, but most of football, you're not actually kicking. I don't know. I absolutely adore that about America. I don't ever want us to call it football. I want us to call it soccer forever until it just annoys the rest of the world. That's where I become very patriotic. Because it cracks me up, especially if you watch, like, I can't remember. My brother-in-law is grew up in England, and so he's very like into especially when, like, like Manchester or like one of the big teams is in the World Cup. And I remember it was a couple years ago, the US got kind of far, like further than they probably should have because their team wasn't that good. And there was a game that was the US versus England. And every time US players were interviewed, they're like, I love soccer. I think soccer is amazing. And then, like, everyone else is like, it's football. Like, and I was like, I want them to win just because of that. Like, that's the weird kind of stubborn part of me. I just want to see them win. Gary said, someday the Band-Aid has to come off. That's all I got on the metric system. All right, guys, we got the metric system. We got the Electoral College. We have time changes like daylight savings. What else do we have that just sucks here? let's just do an angry vent stream about all the things, you guys. I actually really do feel the metric thing, though, because the more you have to work with manufacturing, the more that conversion just, like, oh, it's such a time suck. It doesn't make any sense. Trying to think of anything else I want to tirade against, but I don't really have anything. I've been in a pretty good mood lately, guys. Dee Dee said, I personally look for the good things. Call me a rebel. Dee Dee, you're a rebel without a cause. Dee Dee said, Joshua's flag is a black and white hex. Ignore the deeper implications of my my branding. That's an interesting thing to kind of mention. So there are a lot of people who get like super into like Freemasons and like iconography and symbols and stuff like that. And they'll be like, it's like representing these secret societies and stuff like that. And I think sometimes these people who are making these claims must not be artists. Because, like, if you're an artist and you see like graphic ornamentation, especially from like the Victorian era or like a little bit after, there are certain symmetrical like symbols and stuff like that that just aesthetically look awesome. Like and don't have like a crap load of deeper meaning. They're just incorporated a lot because they're really cool. Like, and not just cool, but like aesthetically like symmetrical or asymmetrical layouts and designs and shapes. It just kind of makes sense. Like if you're working with shapes, that certain shapes are going to repeat a lot in designs. That's not to say there aren't designs that have like really deeper meanings. Maybe some of them were insidious. But the point being, if you're one of those people who's kind of like analyzing images all the time for like secret, like deep state or whatever, I like Illuminati, that kind of stuff. You might find yourself like, I think people looking for that stuff are going to find it everywhere because there's repeated imagery everywhere. And it's not like, I don't think it's as intentional as those people think. I think a lot of the time it's just like, oh, I like how that filigree is done. I'm going to use that filigree in my design. Or, oh, I like that angle, so I'm going to use that in my design. Paul Pate said, greetings, compatriots. Greetings, Paul. Have you guys noticed? This is something I noticed with Scott Strickland on his the last few times we've done Artcasters. He starts it by saying, greetings. And I was like, I never noticed that before. Where it almost sounds like greetings, earthlings. I'm just saying, Scott is a gentleman and a scholar. But I thought that was interesting. Just I hadn't noticed that before. I think I should start my streams by saying greetings, earthlings. I think that would be a good one. How is Paul doing? I know Paul is going to be on Artcasters on the 30th, which I'm excited about. We're going to do a deep dive into his graphic novels, which is a little overdue, honestly. Oh no, my view just changed. Come on. No, I don't want to be in full screen mode. I want to change the view. Standard screen mode. Thank you. Wow. Gary said, I always miss the first few seconds of Artcasters because it starts with an ad. Nice. Yeah, exactly. Scott appears out of nowhere. Like Scott is like the Candyman. You say his name, and is it the Candyman? I can't remember. There's a couple guys, a couple of horror movies where you like say a character's name and they appear. But I'm not enough of a horror buff. If Ronnie Gunter were here, he'd be like, "Oh, that's this movie episode, whatever," because he does, Comics de la Muerte, where he goes over all the horror stuff. But anyhow, yes. Scott was saying that's how I start all my videos. Exactly, but I love that it's kind of like greetings. I think you need to lean more into the Vincent Price-ness of it. Because you do a killer Vincent Price. Scott, this last Halloween, did an entire episode as Vincent Price. And again, didn't break character. It's so hard on those Halloween streams. I have to say, I've never had a harder time just laughing the entire time than when Scott comes in character and commits to doing the entire episode as a character. They're kind of amazing, but also very hard to kind of like do anything but just chuckle the entire time. And Paul said, greetings, Mad Creator. Exactly. Greetings, Mad Creators. Yes. But I feel like if he put a little more of a priciness to it, it'd be fun. So that's my challenge to you, Scott. Next video, without explanation, you got to just lean into it and go, greetings. Okay. We are almost done with this panel, which is very exciting. Oh no, I just made the mistake. The worst mistake. I also just noticed, Gary, you're in the chats. Gary, you're as interested. You might be potentially as interested in Risk as me. Did you see the little Australia dive bomb this morning? Right, I pretty securely had Australia, and then the player just was like, "I need to kill you," and that was it. It was like game over, 5 seconds, and then another guy like dive bombed that guy, and I was like, "That's why I don't go for Australia in these games. That's why I don't." People are like, it's like I view Australia on the Risk Live game as like the continent that has like a magnet that it's like a magnet for idiots. And that doesn't mean people who would go for Australia are idiots. I'm just saying, like, if you took like a magnet and you rigged it up where the worst players would be drawn to it like a moth to a flame, that is Australia in Risk. Yeah, Gary was like, LOL, I did. And again, I could have played it slower and taken it a little slower, but like that guy was gonna dive bomb Australia. There was like no if, and, or but about it. He was just gonna take it. He was like, Australia or die. No Australia, no win. That's the joke among masters and grandmasters, is like all the new players are like, no Australia, no win. Yes, truth. Gary said going for Australia is definitely a risk online with randos because newbies. Yeah, everything's a risk, but that one is the continent that is the most. Yeah, newbies are like, again, it's like moths to a flame, where they're just like, I have to, must get closer to the light. Zap. That's what happened to me, honestly. I should have. I was in position to get out of there. I second guessed my gut. My gut was like, get out of here. Do not be in Australia. If you aren't forced to be in Australia at the beginning of that game, get the hell out. Even if you want it, get the hell out, hang out in Asia, and then take Australia later. How's everybody's morning going? Paul Pate was saying that's how I used to pick up women. Greetings. Struck out every time. That would be an interesting pickup approach where you just kind of mosey up to somebody at a bar and you're like, greetings. I can't see why you would strike out with that at all. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost there. We are almost there. Which is great because that'll allow me to break for lunch. But not only that, it'll allow those of you on the same time zone to break for lunch too. We're going to have like a collective lunch break in a few minutes. Okay, all we have left is the shading behind this character. I want it to get a little darker behind the skeleton. Whatever happened to Schoolhouse Rock? Does anybody know? Does that like still exist as a thing? Like, I know you can look up like old videos on YouTube, but it feels like they had a really dominant foot in the door with like educational stuff for like a long period of time. I guess maybe they went the route of the metric system. Paul said, I'm in a nap. Oh, Paul was also saying that the reason he struck out wasn't his line. It was actually him being shirtless. Paul, you're out of control. Out of control, sir. Paul also mentioned a nap. I really respect the art of the nap. As I've gotten older, the more I really admire and honor the nap. I think the nap is a beautiful thing. The nap is a sacred thing not to be trifled with. Okay, we fixed that up. Now we just have to do, because that creates just a little bit more contrast there. Now we just got to do our backgrounds. So let's do that. Do 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 do. Paul said, my goal on these streams to have devolved into how much I can distract you with ridiculous comments. I love it. I like the ridiculous comments. I appreciate the ridiculous comments. I think half of what makes these streams fun is the ridiculousness. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Gary and I have been on an agreement arc as of late. What are your thoughts on that, Gary? We were on our disagreement arc the last time. Gary also points out a very solid point. He said, Frank is going to take that as a direct threat. But I was thinking about just, Paul's objectives here to get kind of silly and random in the chats. And then it just brought me back to a chaotic time when there was a epic battle between myself and Gary Hodges. There were many casualties in this battle. It was a disagreement arc, and it went for episodes and episodes. Disagreements were cast left and right. I think Gary and I both have PTSD from the disagreements that were fired across from stream to stream. It's really the best of times and the worst of times, Paul said, I'm always impressed how you keep it moving. If we're talking about the stream still, Paul, right? Because I am working on page 69. I'm just pointing that out. Yeah, Gary points out, he said it was a difficult time for our country. Yeah, and now it's time for healing, you guys, between Gary Hodges' stream and Joshua Kemble's stream. It's time for us to come together and agree. Because we're bigger than this, you guys. We're bigger than disagreements. Were we not artcasters at one point? I will tell you guys this. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but Ben is playing a game that has like the coolest music. It's really nice. It's like dance music and stuff. It's awesome. Paul Pate said, I don't want no Captain Goggles heat. stream to stream, you and Gary kept crossing swords. It's true. It was a pretty brutal battle. Dee Dee said, okay, heading out. Got to see if I can Google Earth that lost civilization in Antarctica. Nice. That sounds cool. Are you working on a thing about the lost civilization in Antarctica? I will tell you guys, Dee Dee has mad researching skills. Thank you, Dee Dee, for hanging out in the stream. You're much appreciated. I'll be wrapping up the stream in about, I'd say, like a few minutes, because all we have to do is just erase out these areas where the background is overlapping the foreground figures. But it's very much appreciated you hanging in the stream. And if you guys are around later, you know, maybe like an hour or so from now, tune in. Maybe I'll take a second crack at Risk. Or maybe I'll just rage quit the entire game, because I feel like the last 4 games I've played, there's been just like some weird suicide guy who's like, I'm taking you out. All right. Let's see here. So we just have to get rid of this character. This character's overlapping parts and stuff like that. The color. The shading, not color. My goodness, I'm just misspeaking. All right, so thanks to everybody who's tuned in to this stream. As Benji said at the top, if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, right? Comment, like, share, all that fun stuff. Support my stuff by picking up Jacob's Apartment or 2 Stories. If you've been on the fence about it, Jacob's Apartment is on sale for a decent price on Amazon. So if you wanted to, if you've been holding off because of like finances or money or something like that, you could save a few bucks going through Amazon, or, you know, support your local comic book shop. If you're like, screw Amazon, you can get it out of your local comic shop. Ask them to order it from Diamond. That is going to do it for this live stream. I'm going to go eat lunch, make lunch for Ben, and then I'll be back live streaming again. When I won't be live streaming is 6 p.m. when Jim Lujan has the launch of his Full Fungus show. But I hope you guys have a good morning, and I'll see you in about an hour after I eat and the family eats and all that fun stuff. And we are going to finish this page. We will finish this page. Let's see here. So I'm going to save this real quick. Paul said something in French that I cannot understand. It's I don't know. You guys read it. I'm just kidding. He said bon voyage. All right, guys. Have a good night. And night, man, I definitely need to eat. Have a good afternoon. I'll see you guys in an hour or so. Make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications when I go live again. And I'll see you on the next stream. Bye.